Hi, welcome everyone once again, weekly review show for chemistry. This is, I already lost track. This is for September 29th through October 3rd. I got my notes, I got my stuff. I guess I'm ready to go. So, Spirit Week. Oh, the excitement. But what did we talk about this week? Let's see. We had the Unit 1 exam. I handed back your Unit 1 exam. I also gave you back your Oreo project grades. If you have any questions about those, feel free to come and talk to me about them. But the Unit 1 exam, what to think about that? Well, I got here that there's going to be a survey coming out soon. Excuse me. At the end of every unit exam, you're going to have a survey, a reflection survey, just like the one you took for the math pretest. Oh, geez, I almost forgot. Back up. If you're watching this live, like always, if you have any questions, you can tweet them to @WindsorChem, or if you don't have a Twitter account, you can text them to 607-205-8577. Please be sure to include your name with either the tweet or the text, and I will answer your question. So that's what's going on. I got my little feed of Twitter going. Okay, I forgot about that. I got a sneeze coming. Oh, horrible timing. No, okay, it'll come back. Anyway, the Unit 1 survey. My nose is tickling. The Unit 1 survey, that's going to be coming up in Google Drive soon, and I'll put a link to it on Twitter, and which will go to Facebook. It'll be on the school webpage. It'll be under the Unit 1 folder in Google Drive, and I'm going to ask you to take that. It's not made yet. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'll ask you to take that survey. It's going to count as a quiz grade. This is going to drive me nuts. I may just have to go away for a little bit, but we'll see. So that'll be out soon, so keep an eye open for that, please. The makeup exam, I really wanted to try and get it done this coming week, the short week, but I just don't think I can make it happen that fast, especially when you find out what's coming with it. So right now, if you want to mark the calendars, the makeup exam for Unit 1 is going to be on Thursday, October 16th after school. So the makeup for Unit 1 is Thursday, October 16th after school. Again, it's going to be from 2:30 to 3 o'clock. It's going to be 10 questions. It's tougher than the exam, but I take the higher of the two scores. So if you missed the Unit 1 exam, you need to take the makeup. If you were not happy with your Unit 1 exam score, take the makeup. There's no point cap on taking makeup exams. You can get a 99 on the test and still take the makeup. That's fine. So again, Unit 1 makeup, Thursday, October 16th after school. From there, we got into Unit 2, which is scientific measurement, I think. Yep. Scientific measurement. Woo! That all started with accuracy and significant figures in units is kind of what we talked about the first 2 days of that. And again, if you have any questions on any of this stuff, feel free to tweet or text to 607-205-8577 during the broadcast if you're watching live, and I'll do my best to answer the questions. But when it came to accuracy and measurement, we said whenever you're measuring something, if it has a screen where it gives you the number, just go with whatever that has. But if there's analog, if there's any kind of not screen, right, and that means anything like, anything like a ruler, a balance that's not a scale, electronic balance, a thermometer, a graduated cylinder, you have to measure what you know with one estimate. And that came up on Lab 4. And some of you are going to see that Monday on Lab 4. So you have to look at the measuring device, like the ruler, like this one, and you got to see how many divisions it has, figure out what that's broken down to, and then you estimate one more space. So with this one, I don't know if we're going to be able to see, you can see it's in millimeters, and I know where 1 millimeter is, right? Because I know that's 10, 20, 30, so that's 1 millimeter. So I would be estimating the 10th place when it comes to millimeters. If this was a different ruler and that was 1, 2, and 3 centimeters, I'd be estimating hundredths of a centimeter because I would know where 1 is. I know where 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 is, so I'd be estimating the hundredths place. Excellent. So that's what it comes down to with measuring. You measure what the device shows you, and then you estimate one further place. That's always important. From there, we got into units. With units, they were on your reference tables, right? You got those. We're going to change them a little bit, but the basic units, the base units are on table D, pretty straightforward, not too crazy. And then we dealt with the prefixes, which were on table C. Remember, you can treat that like a number line. Don't forget about the missing numbers, but if you move, let's see, if you move up the table, you move the decimal point to the left. I really hope that's the left for the screen. I think it is, because it's backwards the way I'm looking at it. If you move down the table, you move the decimal point to the right, however many places you move on the number line. Now that works great, but I'm going to show you another way to do it when it comes down to the unit 3, when we're doing unit cancellation. I'll show you another way to look at it that may work a little better. So I'm not too worried about units right now. Then we got into significant figures. Now, significant figures is video 2.2 on Google Drive in the Unit 2 folder, hence the 2 part. So if you're not so sure about significant figures, check out video 2.2, and I think that will help you. But the way it works is when you look at a number, that number can then be broken down into digits. And when we're figuring out significant digits, excuse me, we have to look at each digit of the number individually. So let's pop over and look at, hopefully, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Yep, good. Okay, let's go look at the iPad. Okay, so make sure I can see, good. Excuse me, so when you're looking at this, like if we had a number like, oh, I don't know, 1,000, nope, nope, oh, right, I gotta turn my pen on. And we're live, okay. 1,237.5, right? That's a number. Within that number, there are digits, right? There's a 1, there's a 2, there's a 3, there's a 7, and there's a 5. So there's a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits. I feel like I'm on Sesame Street. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mumbled that. It's really 11, 12, but I mumbled, so I put mumbled in instead. Oh, hang on, I got to do this. It's a joke. Anyway, yeah, I've been here way too long. So if I have a number, the way the rules work is any number, any digit other than 0 is always significant, no matter what, right? And again, if you're watching this live, now is a great time. If you have a question, you can tweet that question to @WindsorChem. Let me come back, right? Right down there, @WindsorChem, or text to 607-205-8577, especially if you have a particular number that you're thinking of. So anyway, back to the iPad. I'm a little disheveled here. Okay, awesome. So any number other than 0 is always significant. So if I have the number, I don't know, 5,024, cool. Any number other than 0 is always significant. So in this case, the 5, the 2, and the 4 are considered to be significant. Always, always, always. Now, zeros are not significant unless they meet one of 3 conditions. The first one is that they are sandwiched or bookended between significant digits. And that's the case with this 0. It's between the 5 and the 2. So as a result, wow, that was sloppy. It counts. And like we said, if I have, 3004, let's change ink. The 3 and the 4 count, and the zeros, they're still bookended between significant digits. They're still between the 3 and the 4, even though there's more of them, so they count. So that has a total also of 4 significant digits. Awesome. That was condition number 1. Condition number 2 is what I like to call after and after. The way that works is if you have a 0 after the decimal point and it's after a significant digit. So like, I don't know, 35.20, right? In this case, we'll keep with red. We No, the 3, the 5, and the 2 count because they're not 0. This 0, it's after the decimal place. Remember, it doesn't have to be immediately after. It's just somewhere after the decimal place. And it's after a significant digit. It's after the 2. In fact, it's after the 5 and after the 3. So it's definitely after the decimal point and after a significant digit. So it counts. Awesome. But what if I do something like this? Well, I know the 5 counts. That's sloppy. I got to write a little slower. The 5 counts. Okay, that's good. Now, this 0, it's not after the decimal point. So as a result, it is not considered significant. This 0 is after the decimal point, but it's not also after a significant digit. So it doesn't count. Same thing with this 0 and this 0. They're both after the decimal point, but they're not after a significant digit. It has to be both conditions. So as a result, those zeros are not significant. But this last one, it's after the decimal point, and it's after a significant digit. So it counts. There'd be 2. Sweet. One last example. If I had something like, I don't know, maybe 350,000.000, right? What about this one? Well, I know the 3 and the 5 count. Boom, that's done. Change ink. Boop. This 0, well, it's sandwiched. It counts. Sweet. This 0, it's not sandwiched. How about, is it after the decimal point? No, it's not after the decimal point. We'll talk about the third case in a little bit, so that doesn't work. What about that 0? This one is not sandwiched. It is after the decimal point, and it is after all of these significant digits. So it counts, which now makes this one sandwiched. It counts, and then these ones are going to count for the same reason that one does. They're after the decimal point, and they're after significant digits. So they all count. That's rule number 2. Rule number 3 is if the 0 is at the end of the number, not the beginning of the number, and if there's a decimal point actually written. So in the case of 10, this just has one significant digit. The 1 counts, the 0 does not. It's not sandwiched, it's not after the decimal point, and there's not a decimal point written. However, the number 10 with a decimal point would have 2, because that decimal point makes that 0 count. And the 1 counts because it's not 0. Sweet. What about this? Okay, well, I know the 1 would count. None of the zeros are sandwiched. And the tricky part is this 0 right here. You may think that counts. It doesn't. Again, for this to work, the 0 has to be at the end of the number. That 0 is at the beginning of the number, so it doesn't count. Now this one, it is after the decimal point, but it does not follow a significant digit, so it does not count. So as a result, that number has 1 significant digit. Awesome. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doo, doink. So what all that means, just again, recapping, the way it works is, sorry, whoa, ha, who? Oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that. That was silly. Hang on, hold that thought, please. There we go. Sorry. So, significant digits. Any number that's not 0 always counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They all count always. Zeros. The first condition is if they are sandwiched or bookended between significant digits. The zeros will count no matter how many are in there. The second condition is if they're after the decimal point and after a significant digit. Remember, it has to meet both of those, after and after. And, what was I going to say? After and after. Oh, and it's not immediately following. It's anywhere following. Okay. And the third condition was that if the 0 is at the end of the number, not the beginning, the end, and a decimal point is actually written. Not that it's just assumed to be there, that it's actually written. So that's how significant digits work. Sweet. Again, if you have questions on that and you're watching live, tweet the questions to @WindsorChem. or you can text me at 607-205-8577. Please include your name. I will not use it on live air, and keep in mind, I guess I should say, standard data and texting rates may apply. That was significant figures, and that was all video 2.2 on the Google Drive. Awesome. So then we went into calculations and significant figures. The way it works is calculations and significant figures, again, it's to not let error build in your numbers, because your final answer cannot be any more accurate than the least accurate of the numbers it's combining. It's kind of the idea of you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? Same idea with that. So the way you do it, the way the rules work, is it's completely dependent upon what mathematical operation you're doing. So if you're adding and subtracting, it's one way. If you're multiplying and dividing, it's another way. And you may remember that one of those was based on decimal places and one of those was based on significant figures. It was always the fewest. And the way that you can remember is when you're adding and subtracting, if you were doing it by hand, you'd line up the decimal places. So that tells you when you're adding and subtracting, your answer has to have the same number of decimal places as whichever of those numbers has the fewest decimal places. And again, if a number has no decimal places, your answer would have no decimal places, and you round properly. That bell is brought to you by the Windsor Central School District. Thank you very much. And if you're multiplying and dividing, well, if you were doing that by hand, you wouldn't necessarily line up the decimal places, multiplying and dividing by hand. So that isn't based on decimal places. That's based on the number of significant figures. And again, your answer needs to have the same number of significant digits or significant figures as the number with the fewest number of significant figures. So I figure, why don't we look at some examples? We'll start with an addition and subtraction, then we'll look at a multiplication division. And again, if you have questions as we're going through this and you're watching live, either send a tweet or send a text to 607-205-8577. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples here. Boom, 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 and over to the iPad. Ta-da! Okay, I'll just make up some numbers and then we'll do some math. So if I was going to say, I don't know, add together some numbers, and those numbers were 405.31 and 35.2017. Awesome. Now, you can do that in your head, maybe. You can do it with a calculator. In fact, if I do it with a calculator, 405.31 plus 34.2017, mathematically, I come up with 4,395 point, whoop, no, I can't read. Whoop, back it up. Let's try that again. More like 439.5117. Now, the deal is, if you think about this in terms of accuracy, we started off the week by saying the more decimal places, the more accurate a number. Then we kind of changed it to the more significant figures, the more accurate the number. And it's kind of a mixture of the two. But when you look at the first number here, let's change this to a little darker. This number has, wow, let's try that again. There we go. That number has 2 decimal places. Okay, cool. This number has 4. So when you're combining them together, the final answer cannot be more accurate than your least accurate number. In this case, the 405.31. That's my least accurate number. So the way we do this is we say, okay, how many decimal places in this number? 2. How many in this number? 4. My answer has to have the same as whichever one is less. 2 is definitely less. So I'm going to keep the 5. I'm going to keep the 1. I'm going to cut the number off there and round based on the next and only the next number. So my answer in terms of significant figures would be 439.51, because the 1 stays, because the next number down is a 1. And in order to raise up, it's got to be a 5 or greater. So that's how addition and subtraction would work. It's based on the number of decimal places. And your answer always has to have the same number of decimal places as whichever number has the fewest decimal places. Cool. Where it gets a little bit different, I'll see if I can figure this out here off the top of my head, is multiplication and division. So if I have something like, we'll start off maybe simple. We'll see if this gets crazy. 20.32 times 4.78. All right. Again, if I do this in my head, I could, but I'm not going to. 20.32 times 4.78, I'm coming up with 97.1296. Again, my answer cannot be more accurate than my least accurate number. And when I look, the first number here, 23.32, that's fairly accurate. It has 4 significant digits. But my other number, 4.78, that's a little less accurate. It only has 3 significant digits. So again, I always have to go with whichever one is less. In this case, I think you'd all agree, 3 is less than 4. So what does that mean? That means I need to chop this number down to 3 significant digits. Always start at the left-hand side of the number. Figure out what is significant. Is the 9 significant? Yeah, it's not 0. Sloppy again. It's not 0, so it counts. There's 1 significant digit. How about the 7? Yep, it's not 0. It counts. 2 significant digits. How about the 1? Yep, it's not 0. 3 significant digits. It's a little Sesame Street for you. So I'm going to cut my number off there and round. Boop, boop, boop. Now, based on the next number, that 1 is going to stay. So in terms of significant digits, my answer would be 97.1. Right? So you can see it's not based on decimal places. It's based on significant digits. You may be saying, well, I thought we had to change numbers. I'm getting to that in a second, but think about that. Let me change up the ink here. If I changed these 3 numbers to zeros, they'd count because they are after the decimal point and after significant digits. So that means they would count, and I'd have, in this case, 6 significant digits. I can only have 3. So as a result, I don't write them. They don't count. I have my final answer with 3 significant digits. Cool. Let's see if I can make another one work here. Let's try 205.7 times 3. I think that's going to work for me. So if I do that math, 205.7 times 3, I come up with 617.1. Follow the same rules. My first number, that has, well, let's see. I know the 2, the 5, and the 7 count. The 0 sandwiched, so it counts. That's 4 significant digits. My second number, well, that's pretty straightforward. 1 significant digit. So my answer has to have 1 significant digit. As always, start on the left-hand side. Does that 6 count? You betcha. So I'm going to cut the number off there because that's my 1 significant digit, and I'm going to round based on the next and only next number. In this case, the 6 holds. It doesn't round up. Now, this is where some students, some of you say, okay, so my answer is 6. Holy cow, no, because 6 is not even close to 617. It's not how it works. What you do is you go from the point you cut the number off forward only to the decimal point, replacing all the numbers with 0. So this would become 600. Now, 600 is a heck of a lot closer to 617.1, and the number 600 only has 1 significant digit. The 6 counts. The zeros, they're not sandwiched. They're not after the decimal point and after a significant digit. And there's not a decimal point actually written there. So as a result, again, whoops, whoa, just 1 significant digit. So that is that, as they say. Let's come back here. So When it comes to significant figures and math, by the way, that is video 2.3 on the Google Drive. I should have mentioned that a little bit earlier. Video 2.3 on Google Drive is calculations and significant figures. That helps you through what we just talked about. But if you have some questions about it, I'll be glad to answer them. You can either tweet them to @WindsorChem, or you can text me at 607-205-8577. We still have some time left in the show, so I can go back and answer them if I need to. But the way that calculations and math work, again, if you're adding and subtracting, it's based on the number of decimal places, and your answer has to have the same number of decimal places as the number you're adding or subtracting with the fewest decimal places. The way to remember that, when you're adding or subtracting without a calculator, you line up the decimal places. Decimal places, decimal places. Hey. Multiplication and division, again, your answer has to have the same number of significant digits as whichever number you're multiplying or dividing with the fewest significant digits. Video 2.3, examples, all sorts of good stuff. Now, for some of the classes, you went on today, Friday, talk about density, which is videos 2.4 and 2.5 on the Google Drive. I don't want to get into that too much yet because the other two classes haven't talked about it. So here's what I will say, because you probably know this anyway already from like earth science and maybe middle school. Density, the formula for density is mass divided by volume. That's on your reference tables on table T, not a big kick there. So the formula is mass divided by volume. And I think you know that if something is less dense, it will float, right? If it's less dense than its surroundings. And if something is more dense than its surroundings, it will sink. And density is not the same as mass. So when I say, why does something sink? And people say, because it's heavier. No, it's not. Because an aircraft carrier is a heck of a lot heavier than me. And yet it floats in water and I sink in water. It's not about mass. It's about density. When something is less dense, it floats. When something is more dense, it sinks. Pretty straightforward. We'll play around with that a little bit more on Monday when we come back, and we'll look at two labs all about that, Lab 4 and Lab 5. Yeah! So that's everything I have on my list. So let me wrap it up here with my reminders, which is on the other side. Again, as you're watching, we're probably going to wrap this up in a couple minutes, but feel free, shoot a tweet to @WindsorChem if you have a question, or text me at 607-205-8577 to answer your question. But some reminders. First off, get your labs in. Lab number 3 was due today. Hopefully they're over in that folder, in the lab folder for you guys. Remember, most of the minutes that we do throughout the entire year are in the first 2 marking periods. So it's really important that you make sure you get these labs in and you pass them. I've put labs into eSchool so you can see at least Lab 1 and Lab 2 are graded and they're in eSchool. So the Unit 1 exam is in eSchool, and the Oreo project and homework, and I think that's it. Maybe those are the big ones. What else do I have? Oh, lab number 4, you either did it today or you're going to do it on Monday. Lab number 4 will probably be due Thursday the 9th. And you may say, oh, I thought labs were due Friday. We're not in school Friday the 10th. So the lab is due Thursday the 9th. Make sure you plan for that one. Again, the Unit 1 makeup, that's not going to be next week. It's going to be the week after that. So it'll be on Thursday after school October 16th is the Unit 1 makeup. And the way that's going to work, I forgot to tell you before. Again, it's from 2:30 to 3 o'clock on October 16th. It's in the classroom. I take the higher of the 2 grades. I know you know that. But what I'm going to do in the next couple days is I'm going to make video tutorials of me going through the Unit 1 exam so you can see how it works. And those will be posted on the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/WindsorChemistry. Or you can see it. I'll put a link in a tweet and you can see it there too. But you can go and watch the video, see what you did wrong if you're not sure. You can also come talk to me about the unit exams. My time is pretty precious and it's hard to get a hold of me, but I'll try to anyway. And we can talk about it. Then you take the makeup exam on October 16th. That's a Thursday after school. and I take the higher of the 2 grades. Another thing I have here is Google Drive. Again, if you want access to the Google Drive, first off, all of you can access it. Anyone out on the web can access it by going to the school's webpage, my page on the school webpage, and then clicking on Google Drive. That'll get you to the Google 2.0, or the Google Drive for Regents Chemistry. If you have a Google account, if you have a Gmail address, you have Google account, you can get direct access through your Drive, so you can see it within the Drive app or within Drive on a computer if you're looking at it. All you have to do is just email me you can email me at my Gmail address if you remember it. It's mr.rickbray@gmail.com, or you can email me at rbray@windsor-csd.org. Email me, there we go. Email me from your Gmail address and maybe just say, hey, this is so-and-so, so I know who you are. And I'll give you direct access to Drive so that you don't have to go through the web page every time. But if you really want to go bonkers, you can also enter this address. It's a little tricky. It's, let's see here. Yep, you're going to be able to see that. It's this. Oop. I don't know how to write lowercase. I'm sorry. There. That's not too bad. I don't usually write in lowercase, but it's bit.ly/chemfolder. If you put that into any web browser, it'll automatically take you to the folder. You'll notice I did it this way because it is case sensitive. Everything is lowercase except for the C and the F of chem folder. If you don't put those in as capital letters, it's going to take you somewhere different, and I have no idea where it is, and I'm not responsible for it. So you need to enter it exactly as it's shown here, bit.ly/chem folder, capital C, capital F. That's what's up. That's going to make weird words if my head's blocking it. So let's get rid of it. But you can get access to it there. Also, like I said, through the web page, the school's web page, or if you have a Google account, just send me one. I guess the other thing I have here is that the 6-week marking period ends on October 17th. So that's like couple weeks away. So you want to make sure if you got late stuff, you want to make sure you get it in, keep up on that, because you know the 6-week reports are coming out. And now you don't have 2 grades in e-school anymore. You have quite a few more. So it's a little bit more accurate of a representation of how you're doing in this class. So I guess other than that, I got here, have a great and safe homecoming weekend. Good luck to all the Windsor Central High School athletes that are competing this weekend. Likewise, good luck to all the non-athletes who are doing something this weekend. Whatever life endeavor you have before you, good luck with it. Be safe, have fun. Like me, I'm going to go home and I'm going to build a chicken coop. Yep, I have chickens. 2 of them. Yeah, they make eggs. Yep, I eat them. They're small, but they're good. Bet you didn't know that about me. Ha! So anyway, I'm out of here. Make sure you get all your information in. At this point, the live broadcast is going to shut down, so you can still tweet me questions. I just might be a little late getting there. If you're watching this on the replay, you can send any questions to me on an email at rbray@windsor-csd.org. With that, I'm going to get out of here because I got myself a chicken coop to build. Peace!